How is it possible for a killer to kill his victim and at the same time be broadcasting to hundreds of people on YouTube? On December 18, 2022, this YouTuber was broadcasting, playing the game GAV City in front of hundreds of his followers at the same time and in the same area where this YouTuber lives. A pregnant woman is stabbed to death inside her home. This story does not include a search for the identity of the killer. We all know who the killer is. This story is about the strange things that he did in order to exonerate himself from the crime. Of course, the fact that the killer is a YouTuber makes the story very exciting. Imagine that he used this same platform that you are now watching. She has this video because he's trying to make an alibi for himself. In today's story, we will know how he was broadcasting live and committed the crime at the same time. We will see his sick personality and the scary things he said during this broadcast, which lasted for 6 hours. Before we start, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment. Your support means a lot to me, and it helps me to keep creating great content for you. Our story today took place in Northern Ireland, talking about this man whose name is Stephen Matilala. He's 32 years old. Stephen, this YouTuber, had a large channel on YouTube at the time, with only 35,000 subscribers. But the audience, who has loyal and interactive content, is nothing but reviews of figures, games specializing well-known series and movies. Stephen has been broadcasting live on his channel for a whole year, but suddenly on December 18, 2022, he opened a broadcast on his channel playing GAV City, an old game. I think some of you, or even many of you, have played it. The important thing is that this broadcast was titled Live Gaming. The closest translation to it is broadcasting live games on the violent Christmas night. Literally, this was the title of the broadcast. The Violent Christmas Night. This man kept broadcasting for more than 6 hours straight, which means a very long broadcast. You rarely get someone to broadcast for that long. Stephen, who had been away from broadcasting for a year, suddenly came back for 6 straight hours. It was a strange thing, but the strangest thing would happen the day after that morning, which was Monday, December 19, 2022. Stephen called the police to inform them that he had found the body of his pregnant girlfriend, Natalie McNally, in our home because this case is considered a new case. Unfortunately, we do not have many details about her. I mean, according to what I understand, she is my girlfriend, but it is not clear what the nature of their relationship was. Is it an old relationship? Is it a new relationship that just started? Is this child that was in her stomach? All of these details are not available yet. All we know is that he was the one who reported Natalie's body. She found her dead in our home. He called emergency services, of course. The police immediately began examining the crime scene, and the reason was apparent. They had suspicions about Stephen. They had their eyes on him, so they took him into the department and detained him for interrogation. But from the beginning of the interrogation, Stephen opened his channel on YouTube and showed them the live broadcast and told the police, "Look, yesterday I was on a live broadcast and all night I was playing on the broadcast. I did not leave my house and the broadcast was live. The timing is in front of you on YouTube, and there were hundreds of people watching the broadcast and testifying that I was there in front of them." The police were convinced. I mean, they have a strong case. And with us, there were some breaks in the broadcast, meaning breaks in which he got up from his place. But all of these breaks were of short duration. It is impossible for enough time to get out. His house. He goes to Natalie's house, kills her, and returns during the breaks. The police decided that they would accept his custody and release him. After that, investigations into this case continued for approximately a month and a half. And on January 31, 2023, meaning last month, the police arrested Steven for the second time. Did they ever accuse him of acting like him on a live broadcast on YouTube? I mean, the broadcast was recorded before and he was broadcasting a video. But if the broadcast was a recorded video, how did the people who were present in the broadcast not notice this thing? The end streamer must interact with the chat and the people present in order to know how. They let us see snapshots of the broadcast, which by the way is still there. Is on YouTube on his channel until now.
What are we doing tonight? Well, because this streaming software is kind of up the left, it means I can't check the live chat, which is a real shame. So, by all means, talk amongst yourselves.
He said that he will not be able to check you on the chat, and he will not be able to follow the viewers' words and comments. The reason is technical problems with the broadcast program, because if he opened the chat, the game would be suspended, and this was the explanation for his lack of interaction. Oh, viewers, it's good that someone comes and says why he doesn't open the chat on his phone. Steven, the same thing, was covering up this possibility and preparing a definite excuse for it.
I could use my phone to dip in every now and again, but I've decided that I kind of hate live streams where people just sit and read comments and go, "Oh my god, yes, ask me questions, better."
He was trying to cover up all the possibilities and provide justifications for why he couldn't watch the chat and interact with people's comments. He stayed for a long time rambling and saying stupid things, just so they could imagine.
And also, if I go on my phone for too long, I'll end up just scrolling through TikTok, and the amount of time that I've lost scrolling through TikTok is unbelievable. So yeah, phone's away. Can't look at the live chat for some bloody reason, because if I do, it makes the whole thing freeze and OBS just screws up. But yes, if you have questions, comments, opinions, anything like that, tough.
7. These were the stupid passes because of its inability. He's watching the chat afterwards instead of broadcasting and sitting playing. And as we said, broadcasting. It continued for 6 hours, and during the broadcast he kept coming back to the same point and trying to justify a second time. Why couldn't he interact with the chat other than this? Imagine that during the broadcast he was bragging about the crime that he was going to commit. I mean, do not forget that the broadcast was recorded before the crime, but in the broadcast he included hints about the crime. For example, during at one point he said the name of Natalie, who is the victim. He said something like that randomly.
Yeah, that's physics. That's what would happen in the real world. Abso-notly. Abso-notly.
Absolutely.
Suddenly, the one who did not understand what he was saying used her name as a joke, as if he was playing with words. No. And then he was sitting laughing at the stupid joke. He didn't want someone to come and say it. Now, this broadcast is not supposed to be an alibi that protects him from being accused of a crime. It may be stupidity to leave hints like this. The answer is that this thing gives us a glimpse into the personality of the narcissist. This person sees himself and imagines. I mean, this was not the only shot in the text of the broadcast. He sat singing a song, "I Will Bring You Silk Straw."
I need to kill this bitch. I need to take her down.
In which he talks about how he will not commit crimes except in games. It's as if he wanted to keep suspicions away from him. For example, every time he mentioned that he would stay at home tonight and would not go anywhere, he kept repeating and repeating the same sentence more than once. But glory be to God, when he repeats the sentences and repeats them in this way, they turn against him. I mean, whoever had no doubt about him begins to doubt him, and people sit down. They wonder why the person is sitting around honoring us all the time, not leaving the house, and that he only commits crimes in games and strange things like this. Instead of removing suspicions from him, he increases them on himself. One of the strange clips that happened in the broadcast after one of the breaks was the viewer of this screen. This screen, of course, is it. On the intermission screen, it says live stream Paxson, which means we will continue broadcasting after a while. Suddenly, during the intermission, this screen changed, and a poster for the James Bond movie that was released in 2021 was shown. The name of the movie was No Time to Die, and quickly the poster disappeared from the screen. We show only a few seconds. Sources say that the poster was shown on the broadcast was at the same moment that Steven was committing his crime. This means that this was temporary. The poster would appear at the moment of his committing the crime. Of course, chose the title of the movie carefully as he was killing something crazy. After the break, Steven came back to try to justify the reason for the sudden appearance of the picture. He sat down and said, "When I put the controller down on the table, I pressed one of the keyboard buttons by mistake, and this button is the one that brings up the image." I mean, what is this talk that not even a child believes? How does an image appear with the press of a button? Whoever works on streams and broadcasts knows that these screens are controlled and arranged by you. So how could a poster suddenly appear on the screen by pressing a button by mistake without? You did not arrange this picture and design it before. It is clear that this was actually one of the patient's hints, and that he was actually committing the crime at the same moment the poster was shown. The poster was shown at exactly 9:06 minutes, and the police estimate that the crime or stabbing occurred at 9:30, meaning it was approximately 9:30. At the same time, it is as if this is a hint from him that he is committing the crime at this moment. One of her sick hints after it happened about Christmas. And he tells us that this year Christmas will be special.
I actually think it'll be a really good Christmas this year.
I tried to show you the most important shots in general. Shots that give goosebumps. Every broadcast gives goosebumps, especially from the broadcast or recorded video. This is the goal. It is covering the crime. This thing makes a person feel a strange feeling when he sees it. This means that this man planned the crime. He sat for 6 hours recording a video in the form of a broadcast, just to create an alibi for himself. This is literally the meaning of a premeditated crime and lying in wait for him. You know the disgusting thing that he ends the broadcast with talk about love? Love tells people to love each other, communicate with them, your loved ones, call them, write them a letter, and it also makes you feel that he is the kindest person in the world. Someone who does not know what to say. I will tell you something that will shock you greatly. This is Steven's account on Twitter, and this is the tweet in which he published the link to the broadcast. If we open the likes on the tweet, and we saw the accounts that liked the tweet, we will go down and get here an account called Nat. Sure. Yes, guys, this is the account of Natalie, the victim. Imagine putting a like on the broadcast that was made to cover up the crime of murdering you. Oh God, it is something that is difficult for one person to comprehend. Okay, then we come to the crime itself, as we said. The broadcast took place on December 18, 2022, and the next day, December 19, Steven went to Natalie's house and called the police on the basis that he was the one who got her body. Of course, the police came, and all at once we found Tally stabbed with one of her kitchen knives. She was 32 years old, the same age, and was 4 months pregnant with the criminal. Steven killed her and her fetus, meaning he killed two souls, as I told you before. Some sources mentioned that Natalie was Steven's lover, but they did not mention whether he was the father of the child or not, and so far there is no declared motive for the crime at all. There are many conclusions that we can draw, for example, that this is a crime of treason, and that this child is his. Or perhaps it was actually a child, but he did not want the child and she did not agree to have an abortion. So he decided to kill him. Or it could be a completely different story that was not related to the child in the first place. No one knows the reason or motive until now. The important thing is that after Steven reported the crime to the police, they arrested him at the crime scene. They had suspicions about him from the first moments. But as we said, when they brought him to the station, they saw the broadcast on his channel. So they let him go. He went, and I guarantee you that he was coming out of the police station, and he saw himself and felt that he was the smartest creature on the face of the earth. He remained free for about a month and a half after the crime. During this period, imagine that he was always going to the house of the McAnally family, which is the Natalie family, and he would sit with them and talk and try to console them. Faye attended events and insurance stops arranged by the family and society, and he felt sad for himself and her as Natalie's mother's father. They did not know him well. They knew that he was their daughter's lover, but they did not know much about him. They had only met him twice before the crime. Of course, their daughter Natalie was living in her own home, so they did not know much. Regarding the details of her life, Steven stayed with the family all this time. He did not like them. Of course, he wanted to spy on them and see if they were suspicious of him. Imagine that later, after they arrested them, they discovered that there was a recording on his phone that was a recording of eavesdropping. This criminal went and put his phone in the home of the McNally family. He let his phone record. He wanted to listen to their conversations to know if they were suspicious of him or were talking about him. One of the strange things is that Steven posted a video on his channel on December 2022, meaning the day they discovered the crime. The video means it was a normal video reviewing the game lightsaber or the laser sword from the series Star Wars, so I don't know what the purpose of this video was. Is he wanting to show that life is normal and that he doesn't care? Or what exactly is the above? I mean, even if he wanted to show that he is not a criminal, why would he publish a video on this day? Isn't this the one who died? His supposed lover died, and then on December 31, 2022, I mean after that, 12 days after the crime, he published this tweet in which he writes, 2022 was the worst year in my life. The level of suffering, loss, and cruelty I was subjected to is not what I would wish on my worst enemy. I am not okay, and I don't think I will ever be myself again. You have lost a lot, but I am still here. Steven posted a video. Second, on January 25, 2023. Reviews a game from the Doctor series. How could a cold-blooded person continue his life in this way and post normal videos after he committed the crime? The important thing is that this was the last video he posted on his channel, because he was arrested 6 days later on January 31, 2023. The police arrested Steven once again because they had evidence from surveillance cameras. They obtained recordings showing that he left his house, took a bus, and went to the Natalie area, and then returned to her house in a taxi. All these movements were captured by the police cameras. Of course, they needed to pass through a large number of surveillance cameras in order to follow every movement carefully and then to be able to find a driver. The bus that Steven rode on the way out. And they also got the taxi driver who took him on the return trip. And after they brought technical experts, they were able to confirm that this broadcast was recorded and that it was not a live broadcast. Then in court, Steven himself admitted that the broadcast was recorded But he did not confess to the crime and said that he remained in the house all that night, although the surveillance cameras and the police tracking him prove otherwise. For now, this case is ongoing, and as we said, he has not been convicted to date. We do not know what the outcome of the trial will be in the end, but I don't think he will get out of it.